Hi everybody, in this we're just going to cover some of the basics of Adobe Captivate. So Adobe Captivate is kind of an enhancement on general slideshow applications like Adobe PowerPoint or OpenOffice Impress and a few other items like that. It just kind of gives in more additional values for your slides so you can better control. You can publish them as videos, you can publish them as interactive projects and things like that. So I'm just going to start by opening up Adobe Captivate 9. So that's what I'm going to be working with. This usually pops up just to know if you want it to be able to access through your firewall just for updates and things like that. I'm going to cancel that just for the moment. And Adobe Captivate should open up then. So this is the first screen you'll get met with. This is basically asking, do you want to open one of your previous projects? So I've only one previous project currently listed here. So what I want to do is start off a new project. So I'm going to click on new. From here, then you just have the basic templates available. So a responsive project is a HTML5 project that can rescale itself based on whether you're on a PC on a monitor, through a tablet, or through a smartphone or mobile device. So you can choose that if you want to have a project that will scale appropriately. A software simulation is where you can basically kind of take screenshots and basically animate in a mouse clicking on certain areas of the screen to give a software simulation. So it's not a direct recording, but it gives the general idea of how a piece of software works as the screen changes, as the mouse clicks on certain parts of the screen. A video demo is if you want to import or create a specific video item. From PowerPoint is if you already have a Microsoft PowerPoint slideshow that you want to basically import into Captivate to apply more effects and additional items towards it. From Adobe Captivate Draft, we'll jump into that a little. That's kind of a different style of project again. What we're going to jump into with this is just a basic blank project. So we're going to start out with a single blank slide, and we're just going to look at a few of the bits and pieces of features then. The canvas you can change if you want. So this is the size of the stage or the slide, or basically your project in size as it will appear on screen. So you can choose custom if you want and actually type in a specific width and height. There's all the default settings for iPads and YouTube. And we're just going to go with the middle default setting. Okay, so that's an average kind of setting size that we can use. Okay, so it's just going to create a basic slide for us now, a blank project. So it's just going to be one slide with general slideshow settings. Okay, so we open up, we just have one slide. You can see the film strip view over here. So this will show slide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down. We can just scroll up and down through that if we have 50 to 100 slides or anything like that. So currently we just have one slide. One of the things you should usually start out with is the themes. So these icons up here, these allow you to add and edit the contents of your slideshow. So the slides option allows you to add specific slide types. We'll jump into that in a later tutorial again. But one thing to always start out with is to choose the theme that you're going to use throughout your slideshow. So the reason I'm kind of setting this up as one of the first items to perform is I'll actually change it now just to show you. So here are some of the available themes. Here's the current one selected with the little check beside it. I'm going to scroll up and I'm just going to choose this absolutely blank one. So it's going to change the background color to just be solid white. It's going to change also the text, the style and the color of that as well. So I'll scroll up, choose my slide, and this is basically why I'm choosing to change my theme very early on in my project. So when you change your theme, it overrides some of the basic styling properties of your slideshow. So I'm performing this first so that I don't have to restyle everything later on if I change my theme. So that's basically the reason behind it. If I had 50 slides in this, I'd set up specific font types, colors, if I added shapes with colors and outlines. And if I chose to change my theme, some of those settings might change. As a result, I'd have to go back through my entire 50 slides and double check that all the settings remain the same. So it's just a simple thing to look out for. So always change your theme very early on in your project. So I'll click on yes. It's just updating my theme. Now this is working fairly snappy because there's just one slide. If you had 50 or 100 slides, once again, it might just take a little longer for that to work. Okay, so up here at the top, these are the main tools you'll be using if you want to add or edit content within your slideshow. There's also the text toolbar up here. This is more if you want to change properties of the project itself. So if you want to change the publish settings, if you want to change the general settings of it, if you want to change the quiz properties, general items like that, if you want to change the view where the toolbar is, things like that, you'll change that through the text menu. So the text menu is more for general overall properties. The icon menu then underneath that is for your particular project and how you want to edit and add assets to that. So now what we currently have is just a blank slide. If I click into the text in it, it's just giving me an option of the text icon itself, or the text item itself, so I can just move that around on screen if I want. If I double click into it, then it goes into the text. So that's a simple thing just to take note of. You click on something once, especially with text. Well, text is the main one really that this is used for, but if you click on it once, it allows you to select that item to move it on the screen itself to a new location. If you double click on it, then it goes into the text itself, allowing you to edit the text to whatever you want. So that's the main kind of item just to take note of. Again, single and double clicking can mean selecting items in different ways. Okay, so once I double clicked into that, the properties bar over here also opened. So there's two items here. There's properties, which is just the specific stylings of it. So you have the style option down here. So the main items up here I'll kind of tackle a little later. The style name, that just allows you to create your own style. So if I wanted this text to be a specific size, font type and color, and I didn't want to change it for every single one of my 50 slides, I could just create a new style name and just select that style type to the 50 slides. So it'd make updating the font style a lot faster and a lot easier. But just inside in the styles here, you can actually choose my font color. So I want that to be orange. Now it didn't change. The reason it didn't change is because I hadn't that text selected when I changed it. So we'll change that and we'll up the size a bit. So there's my text change. So once again, select it once, select it twice if I want to be able to edit the text itself. Now a lot of the options are given. Most of them are relatively straightforward. The alignment, the size, if you want bullet points, indent them. That's the main thing with the style. Options then, this is very handy for if you want text to appear in the same position in numerous slides. Remember that the X and Y coordinates are here, as well as the width and height. So that's inside in properties, inside in options, you have the X, Y, width and height. It's very useful to remember those, especially if you want things to be uniform over numerous slides. So that's the properties. Timing then, it allows you to add in basic effects. Now this is kind of a new item with Captivate 9, but there are kind of general basic kind of animations that can be added to the text kind of straight away. Now timing can't really be explained too well without bringing the timeline itself into it. Now one of the main differences between items like Microsoft PowerPoint and OpenOffice Impress and then for Adobe Captivate is that Captivate has a timeline for each individual slide. So what I mean by that is if I want my slide to appear, if I want slide number 1 to appear for 5 seconds, slide 2 to appear for 20 seconds and slide 3 to appear for 5 minutes, you can basically add that timeline to each slide so it'll only appear for the set length of time you choose. Now the timeline itself is available just underneath here. So here's my timeline. By default, 3 seconds is how long a slide will appear for. Now if I want this slide to appear for a longer time, I can just extend the time on. So I'm just going to click. Now there's two items here. So the top one here is my text, the hello text. The one underneath is like the master slide. So this is the slide itself. So I'm just going to extend that on. I'll extend that on for about 8 seconds. So this top layer, once again, that's my text. Bottom layer is the slide itself. If I only want my text to appear for, let's say, the first 4 seconds, I can cut that back. And that'll only appear now for the first 4 seconds of the slide. And then for the second 4 seconds, the text will just simply disappear. Okay, so that's a brief idea of that. Now that's once again given in the timing section up here beside properties. It just shows that the text would appear for only 5 seconds and it'll appear after 0 seconds, so it'll appear at the very start of that slide appearance. That's a general idea of properties. What else now? The next item we could kind of cover is library. So this is just basically all your available assets that you have. So when you import an item, which you can do by media and just simply inserting an item, it'll appear within your library. So if you import 50 different audio files, they'll all be listed here in your library, so it makes things easier just to find. You don't have to import the same file in numerous different times. It'll appear in your library and you can just simply drag it in from the library and have it only listed once in your project, rather than having 50 copies of the exact same thing. Now, some of the other items, we might cover each of these tools individually to make it a lot easier to understand the finer points of it. But there's only 3 or 4 main things to remember here. Your slides appear down here to the side. Themes should be changed very early on in your project. You've got your library and you've got your properties. Properties is the main one to jump into if you want to change an item. So if you want to change how this text appears, inside in properties, you can jump into style. All the items are listed underneath. One of the main differences between Adobe Captivate and other slideshow creation programs is that Captivate has a timeline for each slide. That also allows you to export the finished slideshow as a video or as a HTML interactive project. So those are pretty much the main items. That's just a general overview, just to give you an idea of some of the bits and pieces with it, just to show you some of the main aspects, explore the kind of tools around it a little bit. We'll start breaking it down in other tutorials then, and we'll start going into specifics like text and shapes and the media that can be imported. But that's just a general overview to give you an idea of what's available and what each section of the screen is used for.